B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach. Thank you for coming in the freezing Los Angeles cold winter. I know it's hard, but thank you for coming. All right, continuing Sefer Olam Hamidot, Rabbi Kestenbaum. We are in Olam HaGevurah. Olam HaGevurah, and I believe the last thing that we said was regarding an important thing that a person could do, even in small thing that he pushes himself to do, that will really mean a lot. And also, like, if a person understands that just like you would search for money and treasures, he would treat the same thing for Torah, right? And to use his wisdom, to use his whatever means he has in order to secure his success. That's what a person should do to overcome his Yetzer Hara. At the same time, we are basing this segment on the portion in Pirkei Avot that says, so we were up to the part of Kal Kanesher, that a person should be light like an eagle, and we explained what is that talking about. The Berisha explains in the beginning of the Sefer Arba Turim. He says that as a simple meaning is talking about that a person should be light like an eagle, that he must close his eyes. He must be quick to close his eyes, not to see things that he should not see. Right? The mere act of one's closing his eyes is not really doing anything proactively. He's just closing his eyes, and he's like refraining from committing an avera. He writes that this is an act that a person is doing for his Creator, and by mere doing that, he is serving Hashem. And there is a beautiful Gemara in Masachet Kiddushin towards the end of the first parak. It's an amazing piece over there, and it goes through different cases and everything. It's on Daf Lamed Tet Amud Bet, and it goes all the way to Daf Mem. And it says over there, one of the Chachamim says, a person who commits an act of mitzvah, he's going to have a huge reward. So they ask on him, what are you talking about? We know that it says a person sits and he doesn't do an avera, they're going to give him a reward for as if he's doing a mitzvah, meaning doesn't do anything at all. The Gemara answers, it says, no, that's talking about if an opportunity of avera comes his way. There's an opportunity of avera, and he doesn't do it, he saves himself from it, then that not doing is going to be written for him that he committed a mitzvah. Just that. Just the fact that an opportunity was knocking, and and he's about to chas v'shalom commit a sin, and he holds himself and he doesn't do it, and that's going to be counted for him as a mitzvah. Over there, the Gemara brings a bunch of stories of how great Chachamim were in danger of being seduced, and how they saved themselves. Like one, there was a burning hot oven, and he went and jumped in it. And she said to him, "What are you doing?" He says, "Listen, whoever does this is going to end up like this." She said, "Okay, forget it." And different cases that it says, how they really held themselves back from tough tests. Now, why does the Gemara choose the example of looking as an example of a test, a great test? Why? Right? So the answer is that because such a test is not like the person went to commit a sin. He went somewhere or anything. It just came his way. He's like walking on the street, and suddenly a scene that he shouldn't be looking at comes at him, right? So he doesn't really have to do much for the sin to come his way, but at the same time, he doesn't have to do much to hold himself back. Right? And even so, this is considered a big test. It's an example of a test that a person is able to close his eyes and not to see what he's doing. And for this, you really need to be light as an eagle, like, just like the Bet Yosef explained over there in the beginning of Sefer Arba Turim, that if an Avera comes a person's way, any person, for any situation, an Avera comes his way, quickly he has to remove himself from that scene. Quickly he has to either close his eyes and not to be chas v'shalom committing that sin. He says, if a person says, "What can I do? How can a person protect himself from this?" It's a very hard test, and you must answer that question with what Sefer Mesilat Yesharim. Rabbi Moshe Chaim Lutzatto Zecher Tzadik Livracha writes. He says that we are in a midst of a great battle. It's a war, and that war is with our Yetzer Hara. Just like a person must prepare for war, a person knows that there is a war, and he prepares himself, he trains himself, and he buys weapons, and he's ready for battle. The same thing, he needs to prepare himself for that battle with his Yetzer Hara. Could be whatever Avera it is, he has to prepare himself for that battle. How do you fight it? Excuse me. By learning Musar. What learning Musar does, it helps a person stop and think before the test, before the battle begins, how horrible the sin is. And what does he gain from sinning? And what does he lose by sinning? To try to compare, what do I gain if I do this? And what do I lose by doing this? And all of this have to happen before the sin comes his way. Right? And only by a decision that a person decides, makes a decision, accepts upon himself, you know what, I'm going to be very careful, I'm going to be very alert not to do this. Then when the battle starts, when the war is there by his doorstep, he's able to beat the Yetzer Hara. For example, someone says, you know what, from now on I'd like to get up early in the morning to go learn Torah. Example. And, okay, so the night before, he says to himself, whoa, I'm so tired. You know what, I'll get up when I'm not so tired, hopefully. For sure, almost for sure, this person will not wake up early to learn, because that was a decision that he made last night before he went to bed, right? What's going to happen is, in the morning comes, what is the biggest Yetzer Hara in the morning? Laziness. The midah of laziness. Right? Our laziness kicks in. Last night, he wasn't lazy. When he was making his decisions, he wasn't lazy. In the morning, though, laziness, stay nice, this freezing cold weather, stay under the blankets, laziness, that's what it is. So when the laziness comes, that Yetzer Hara, laziness comes to him, he can't fight him because he didn't make a decision before, I'm going to fight this. So forget it. But if the night before he says, you know what, I don't care, no matter what, I'm going to wake up at 5 in the morning. Right? Then it's very possible that he will get up. Although it's the same laziness, absolute, that's attacking him and is trying to seduce him, but he's going to remember that decision that he made previously at the time that he wasn't yet under the influence of laziness, and hopefully he'll be able to overcome it easier. He says, and that's the truth. Anytime that a person makes a certain decision, right, makes a certain commitment, then that's a key to more of a chance for him to be able to beat the Yetzer Hara and to win the battle, right? The more, how would we say, the stronger the decision, the more opportunity, the more chances that he'll succeed. They say a story, interesting story. I don't know if it's true, but even if it's not true, there's a good lesson that's learned from this. A boy in a yeshiva, so every day he would bring milk for himself, and he would go to the fridge, he'll see that the milk is gone, right? He had his name on it. So someone will come and drink that milk. And he thought, what am I going to do? This is crazy. People are stealing my milk. So he wrote on the bottle, this milk is not Chalav Israel. Right? Sure enough, it was there when he came back, and no one touched it. It happened a few times. So So they want to see, oh, look at this, it's so foolish. These people there, they do chumrot, they're careful with Chalav Yisrael, but they're not careful with stealing. But there is something else here that we have to learn. Why did Mr. Thief, right, commit the sin of stealing, but he was careful only to drink Chalav Yisrael? Why? Because when it comes to Chalav Yisrael, this is exactly what we just discussed. When it comes to Chalav Yisrael, he made the decision. I will not drink no Chalav Yisrael because it's like eating ham, So for him, that was the decision that he made. So therefore, the test for him was, oh no, it says it's not Chalav Yisrael, forget it, I'm not going to touch it. Right? The Yetzer Hara of stealing was overcome by the non-Yetzer Hara of no, wait a minute, this is not Chalav Yisrael, I'm not going to have it. Because that was the decision that he made. He hadn't made up his mind about stealing yet. Right? Stealing for him, the Yetzer Hara of stealing came to him. He says, ooh, milk, and he went for it, and he stole. He's a thief. He's a ganav. No matter what, no matter how you look at it, he's a ganav. He's a thief. But look at this. Oh, it's not Chalav Yisrael. I'm not going to have it. Such a tzaddik, right? But his point exactly, that's not where his test is. His test is not there. Done. He says, but the truth is, the same thing is by us. If we make a decision, if we decide that, such avera, let's say, go back to our example of a man looking at things that he shouldn't be looking at, right? If he feels and makes a decision, you know what, this act is like fire. Damage is like fire, it's dangerous for me, this is poison, right? When he makes that decision, then he'll have some chances to be able to withstand the test at the time of battle. Already Mesilat Yesharim tells us how much a person has to sit and meditate and think and make a calculation for himself. Gemara in Masachet Baba Batra, over there they're explaining a pasuk in Parashat Chukat. Parashat Chukat is talking about the battle before Am Yisrael arrived next to Eretz Yisrael, and they conquered the land of Sichon on the eastern bank of the Jordan River and all the way up north. That was all land of Sichon. But beforehand, Sichon had battled Moab, and it took big chunks of their land. This is what we're talking about. So there is a shira that Am Yisrael sang, Az Yashir Yisrael, and they start saying, then they said, Al Ken Yomru HaMoshlim, Bo'u Cheshbon. Right? That's a pasuk. Moshlim means the people that are conquerors. They said, come to Cheshbon. Cheshbon is the name of the capital of that whole country over there. So over there, the Gemara, Masachet Baba Batra, explains this pasuk a little different than the normal understanding. Over there it says, Al Ken Yomru HaMoshlim. Who are we talking about? Conquerors. We're talking about people that are able to conquer their Yetzer Hara. How are these people able to conquer their Yetzer Hara? They say, Bo v'nachshov cheshbono shel olam. Let us make a calculation of the whole world. Hefsed mitzvah keneged sachara. Let's weigh the loss that I have by performing the mitzvah and the reward that I get by performing the mitzvah. What do I gain if I commit a sin, and what do I lose if I commit a sin? So that means a person needs to sit down and think and calculate for himself. What's worth it? Is it really worth it for me to commit the sin right now for a moment's pleasure and lose my Olam Haba? Isn't it worth it for me to, maybe it's hard for me to perform a mitzvah, but against the immense sachar that I'm going to get, reward I'm going to get in Olam Haba? That's the cheshbon, that's the calculation. So that says, Al Ken Yomru HaMoshlim, those people that are able to conquer the Yetzer Hara, they say, Bo'u cheshbon. You know what? Let's figure this out. So here, on the simple level, when you read the pasuk, it's talking about the battle of Sichon and Moab. So why does the Torah choose to teach us this lesson here by this battle? Because exactly like we said, it is a battle. It's a war. A person always has a constant battle within himself. Sometimes we don't even realize it. Inside, we're torn. There is a war. They're shooting at each other. Yetzer hara, Yetzer hatov, like back and forth, back and forth. And where is true strength, bravery? Like our Chachamim said, Ezehu gibor hakovesh et Yisro. The gibor, the one that conquers, is the one that is able to take over his Yetzer hara, beat his Yetzer hara. The Rashbam, in the same place in the Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra, just a side note, in Masechet Baba Batra is a large Masechet, 178 pages, largest Masechet that we have. So around before Daf Lamed, it says over there that Rashi's commentary ended here. He passed away by around page 30. And then from there on is his grandson, Rabbi Shemuel Bar Meir. The rest of Baba Batra's commentary is Rashbam. Rabbi Shemuel Bar Meir. Meir was the Rashi's son-in-law. Rabbi Meir. He was Rashi's son-in-law. Rashi had 3 daughters, right? And one of his... so this Rashbam, he's a brother of the famous Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam, Rashbam is Shemuel. His brother's name is Yaakov. Rabbeinu Tam's name is really Yaakov. Yaakov Ish Tam. So anyway, so the Rashbam is the commentator in most of Masechet Baba Batra. Just that was a side note for your information. Like in the history books they have on the side, did you know? So we just had that. Anyway, so it says, so the Rashbam brings that same pasuk that we had earlier on in this segment. He says, Tov erech hapayim migibor. A person who is patient is better than a brave person. Umoshel berucho meloched ir. One who has self-control, he is better than the person that conquers a city. Because it's so much harder for us to have self-control than to conquer a city. Continues, Mesilat Yesharim. He says, Kelalo shel davar. The rule of thumb here is that a person needs to stop and think and pay attention always, at all times, right? And he has to set a time to be mitboded, to meditate, right? Mahu haderech ha'amiti. What is the true way, according to the Torah, that a person should go in? Number 1, and then come and think about his own actions. Go over his own actions. Are my actions in that path or not? Most people don't do this.
How do you do meditate? You sit?
No. All you need, it doesn't need the yoga. It doesn't need the stance or anything. Just the person needs time for himself. Quiet time for himself. All the Baalei Musar, especially Rav Shlomo Wolbe Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he writes in that issue many times that a person needs a minute for himself to think, okay, what is the correct way of doing things, and where am I? Where is my path? Am I in that path, or am I off that path? That's really what a person has to think. If a person does that, correct. Not just set the goal, the path. Okay, the Torah wants me to do this. Am I doing this? So for that, a person first needs to learn what does the Torah want from him. And then once he knows, and then he says, okay, where am I? How far am I, or how close am I to that path? Right? Because that's the only way that a person is able to purify and strengthen himself from any negative things, and to strengthen up his path. Shlomo HaMelech says, Pales ma'agal raglecha v'chol derachecha yikonu. That's Shlomo HaMelech says in the Sefer Mishle. What's Pales? Pales means to take a survey, to check, to look around. Pales ma'agal raglecha. Take a look around to see the course that you're taking. That's ma'agal raglecha. You need to check around, look around to see the course that you're taking. Once you do that, v'chol derachecha yikonu. All of your ways are going to be prospect. Yikonu means they're gonna be successful. It's all going to be success. Also, Yirmiyah Hanavi writes in Sefer Echa, Nachbesa derachenu v'nachkora. We will look through our ways and we will investigate. Then, v'nashuva ad Hashem. Then we are able to come back to Hashem. That's the only way that a person could do teshuvah, is by looking through his ways and understanding and investigating. Otherwise, a person just goes, we get busy with life.
Yes.
We get busy with life, right? So listen to this. What does the Yetzer Hara want us to do? He wants us to be busy, not to pay attention, right? What is really important. Because he knows if you stop for a minute and think, for sure you're going to be able to beat the Yetzer Hara and not fall prey in his trap, right? He sets traps for us. I'm telling you, every minute of the day, there are traps. It's like a mine. You know, you step on the mine, gone. Okay, we'll go on. It's like more like a video game. We have a lot of lives. You know, we have a lot of lives. Okay, and they took one life. We have more. Baruch Hashem, Hashem gives us. You know, but every minute of the way we have this trap of the Yetzer Hara. Now, let's go back to the video game. If it was on slow motion, you're able to stop and think, look around you, look at everything, and then say, okay, I could go, but or I should turn, I should do this. But what is it? What do they do in the video game? I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it at all. That's why I don't play. You know, but I'm watching others that are playing. I could see, like, you know, oh man, I can't do that. This is like so bad. But that's how they do it, because they make it very fast. What happens? You know, a guy like me starts, like, you know, I don't know how many lives we have to go through. But with this one, in the game of life, though, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They're very smart. It's the same exact thing. The Yetzer Hara does not want you to stop, right? At the time of test, the Yetzer Hara comes and pushes a person to do things quickly without thinking. That's how it works. Gemara Masachet Nedarim is talking about people that become a Nazir, or they make a neder, and they have to. So over there they bring a story about Rabbi Yochanan, not Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. One of the great Chachamim that never liked to eat a korban of a Nazir, because he said, you know what, these people, they suddenly they make a neder of a Nazir, they don't mean it and everything. The korban is not, I'm not so crazy about the korbanot. He said, except for one time, this young man from the south. This is a very deep story. There is a lot of meaning behind this story, but we'll just stick to the simple thing. It says a young man came from down south, and he had beautiful hair, and you know, a Nazir has to cut his hair. He had beautiful hair, and he was like very handsome and everything. I told him, my son, what did you see that you made such a neder? He said, one time I was looking at I went to draw water for my father's sheep, and I looked at my reflection. The guy never looked at a mirror, and he saw himself. He goes, ooh, he started thinking, having gava, that he's all that, he's so cool and everything. So the language that the Gemara uses for that, it says, ufachaz alay yitzri. Pachaz comes from being hasty, being quick, being fast, right? He says, my Yetzer Hara became quick on me. That's the language that we were looking for. This is the trick. This is how the Yetzer Hara works. He comes at a person very quickly and wants to grab him. That's the way it works. A person is sitting by the table. There is food here, right? And that looks good. That food looks great. You know, so there's a question: is this kosher or not? You know, or like, you know, a different level is like, you know, he has a safek. What beracha do I make on this? What does the Yetzer Hara come and do? Quickly, eat it. Like, you know, no time. Shahakol nechnas lagaron. Like, you know, that's the best beracha. You know, and because, you know, because he knows that if he doesn't push you and you're gonna stop, you're gonna think what to do and everything. So what's a person gonna think? Chas v'shalom, I don't know if this food is kosher. I'm gonna lose my olam haba just for this food. Are you kidding me? That's moshlim bo'u cheshbon. That's a person that makes a cheshbon, that makes a calculation, right? Makes a calculation and sees, like, you know, is it worth it or not? Is it worth it for me to do such a thing or not? And this goes with any example of averot. If a person is about to say lashon hara, are you kidding me? Is it worth it for me to say these few words and have so much fun saying lashon hara? But then 2 minutes later, you know what? I destroyed someone's life. I killed someone. I destroyed who knows how many people. Is it worth it? And the examples are plenty. Well, you know what? This is that's one of the biggest tests, really. Like how these days we have to deal with the modern Yetziraras. Uh, there's another thing that we should learn. Rav Avigdor Miller, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. I'm sure you heard of Rav Avigdor Miller. He was famous in Brooklyn. He lived a long life, and he had thousands and thousands of shiurim. They're like tapes, famous Rav Avigdor Miller tapes, and they're making them into CDs. So Rav Avigdor Miller says, chet, the lashon chet means sin. It means chisaron. It means lacking. How do we know? By Batsheva, when she came to David HaMelech in the beginning of Sefer Melachim Aleph, so she said, "V'hayiti ani uvni Shlomo chata'im." Me and my son Shlomo will be chata'im. Well, chata'im, sinners. What sin did they commit? Rashi right there says, "Chaserim." We're going to be lacking. We're going to be missing. So chet comes from that, missing. What does that mean? Says Rav Avigdor Miller. You know why? Because when a person commits a sin, that which is going to be lacking it's not only that he went against what Hashem wants him to go against. He's missing at that moment that he's sinning, he's missing the opportunity to grow. He's missing the opportunity to do the mitzvah of Hashem, because every time a person sins, at that moment he missed out on serving Hashem. And as great as the test, so much more so the chance that he has to grow. Right? To grow and get closer to Hashem. That's how it is. Right? And with this way of thinking, a person could totally change everything. Right? That he's not going to he's not going to think, oh man, I missed the opportunity to do an avera. No, he'll think, wow, how lucky I am that I was able to withstand this test and win and get a good mark from Hashem. Right? They say in this generation that we're in, it's a world full of tavot, full of peritzut and everything. You know how much sachar we have, that we are careful, that we are we're going with the Torah, and how much sachar we're getting. That's what Baalei Musar say now. They say we're living in an open peritzut means open. It's an open generation. Do whatever you want. And we're holding ourselves, we're being kadosh, and we're not getting influenced by what's around us. The reward is incredible. That's really what it is, based on what we just said. B'Shem Hashem. Let's do some kashrut also for a minute. We were dealing with the halachot of Hag'ala, right? And we said, Hag'ala is not such a simple thing. We really should be careful, exactly how it should be done, but we're going to touch on some of the halachot. A keli, a vessel that had isur, not basar chalal, had isur, something ma'achal asur, like non-kosher meat or ham or whatever it is, and it was cooked in there, you should not do hagala on it unless 24 hours passed from the time that the isur was cooked in it. Why? Because the moment you put it in the hot water, right, the isur is there. The isur is balua, is absorbed in the keli. You put it in the water, chazak varuch, the water is going to extract it from the keli, but it's going to put it right back in. Right? But if 24 hours passed, whatever was in there is pagum, is no good. And if it comes out, okay, let it go back in. What's going back in? Something that's pagum, we're good to go. But if you have a keli that has a heter in it, let's say you have a pot that you made meat, and you want to do hagala, now you want to use this pot for chalavi, for dairy, right? So even within 24 hours, a person could do hagala. Why is that? Because like we said before, nat bar nat, notan ta'am bar notan ta'am. If there was meat in there, okay, meat is kosher, was kosher, Baruch Hashem, hopefully. And now you put it in the hot water, the meat gave taste to the pot, which was perfectly fine. It wasn't isur, it wasn't nat bar nat isura, it wasn't notan ta'am bar notan ta'am of something asur, it was mutar. meat was kosher. So he gave it taste. Okay, and now it came out into the water, right? So that gave taste to the pot. The pot gave taste gave to the water, and now the water is going back into the keli. Okay, no problem. We have no issue with that. A dairy pot that by mistake someone made meat in it, and obviously the pot became asur, right? It was dairy. That means something was cooked within the past 24 hours, and someone made meat in that pot, right? They made pasta in it this morning, and then later they made the cheese and the mac and cheese in it, let's say, and then in the afternoon they made choresh in it. So okay, this is totally asur now, or vice versa, whichever way, right? Then you should not do hagala on it unless 24 hours pass from the last usage. Ashkenazim are machmir. They anyway, in all the cases, they wait 24 hours. They wait 24 hours. Let's say a person has actually a meat pot or whatever, a meat thing, and he wants to make it use it for dairy, right? Or vice versa, doesn't matter. He could go ahead and use hagala for that to switch. Ashkenazim are machmir. They don't do hagala to switch from meat to dairy or vice versa. Why? Because they say, the person gets used to it. Okay, today I'm going to use this for dairy, tomorrow I'm going to use it for meat, and then he's going to get all mixed up, and then Chas v'Shalom is going to do it without the hagala. However, even according to Ashkenazim, right, in a case that anyway a person wants to do hagala, let's say for Pesach, he has this pot that he loves, and they want to use it for Pesach. So they clean it very well, and they do hagala. Now that you did hagala, even for Ashkenazim, you could switch to dairy. Right, because anyway you're doing hagala. It's not like it's going to happen every single day. So therefore, even according to them, it is mutar. Now, when we're talking about the keli, how you're going to do hagala or kasher it, we discussed. If something, it all depends. What's the most of the usage for this pot, for this pan, or whatever it is? If most of the usage is you use liquids, water, oil, right? Soup and everything. This is how the isur went into it, right? Even though sometimes you use it dry, you dry roast, you make pot roast, like you barely use liquid there, but you don't do that often. Once in a blue moon, you do it, right?
What about, let's say, like rice? You boil water. It's solid.
Yeah, it's water. It's mainly water over there also. Most of the time it's liquid. So being that most of what was absorbed into this was through liquid, so hagala is sufficient. All you need to do is just hagala, and this is how you kasher it, right? Pot. Let's say a pot that had isur absorbed in it. Most of the time, pots are used for liquid things, right? Even though sometimes the pot is used for things that have no liquid, all you need to do is just hagala. You don't have to do libun, right? Just because this pot was once used for dry. Now, while you're doing hagala, you need to do also hagala on the cover as well, right? As much as the thing was a thing, you certainly have to do hagala. This is all if isur was absorbed. Much easier if this was a meat dish and you want to switch it to dairy.
Can we do because like for instance, there's a pot. I don't have a bigger pot, but if there's a pot